Oh, wait. I think we're good. All right. Whoa. It's the illusion reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. It's the living room here with Jeremy, dude.
Oh, it's Jeremy.
It's Jeremy. He's one of us, dude. That's his qualifications to be here to interview. It's not really an interview. It's a conversation between two dudes trying to figure out what is on the cave wall. And so we're just
we got our
coffee. Mugs. Yep, we're coffeeed up. And yeah, we're super pumped. So let's start out. How do you end up here, dude? Like just the magical universe vibes.
Synchronicity going nuts for sure. Like I talked to you, do you remember when like it was a year ago I was started writing to you on just like a stream like this?
Yes.
And, like I was telling you I was moving from Denver, and then you gave me your email and everything, hit you up.
Well, I told you not to move out to California. Yeah. I was like, don't move out to California. Yeah. Like, I got a reason.
Yeah.
I got it all dialed in.
Yeah. Yeah, you did tell me that. And then, then emailed you and hung out like one time. And then you were doing another stream too, just the other night. And you were talking about one of my new favorite shows. And I mean,
it's the Aqua Donkeys.
Yeah. And what happened with that?
So, well, this is what's classic. So you posted the clip from me babbling about it on my stream, posted it on your Instagram, tagged MP in it. He DM'd me like right off the bat. We've been talking since. And, I called you to be like, wow, it's you've made this happen. And I was like, why don't you come on over and we'll talk, because we're two explorers of the modern era, the cave wall. Like, what is it?
I don't know, just figuring out this craziness.
So, all right. So one of the conversations we were having was, do we even go? Do we just go hard in the paint?
Dude,
right off
I want to
go.
I kind of go nuts a little bit.
Okay, go nuts. Well, all right. We'll just do it standard style just to begin it. Do you have anything you're promoting or anything you're hyping or anything you want to get out, like business related?
I mean, like pretty much the only thing is like, I told you I'm like pretty much running Howie's podcast.
Okay.
And he brought me on to talk about poison, the jab.
So you're working on Howie Mandel's podcast. So go check out Howie Mandel's podcast, and that's on all major apps. Is it called anything special?
Yeah, it's called Howie Mandel Does Stuff. So, and it's like Howie Mandel Does Stuff podcast. But I mean, he, working with him and everything, it's no surprise that I'm not vaxxed. Don't have the jab yet, so that's what he brought me in and talked a little bit about that.
Okay, so we're gonna get into all of this good current like smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors. And so, with that said, all right, what do you think about the aliens?
Dude, it's not. Do you know Project Bluebeam? That's the pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. I'm all about Project Bluebeam.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's huge in the news right now. I think they're gearing up for that.
So this is my take on for those of you guys who don't know what Project Bluebeam is, you should go look it up and kind of go down that bunny trail for a minute. It's basically that they've made the upper atmosphere like a reflective plasma screen, essentially, right? With the upper atmosphere aerosol injections. And that they're going to use all the HARP array and electromagnetic energy to beam aliens, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever it is, free Godzilla, for you to comply, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As in a nutshell, that's
pretty much it, yeah.
So my trip on it is I'm convinced that it already's occurred. That we're in it right now, that we're in Operation Bluebeam. That they realized they didn't need to beam anything off, but they just beamed it through the phones. And the alien that they've always talked about, it was the little spiky ball, and it's inside of us. It's right, like the deception, right? Let's say the man is the man who's aware of people checking out are like, oh, it's going to be like a fake alien invasion, or look up. It's going to be look up when it was like look down,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it's all the same components of Operation Bluebeam are arguably almost in the handheld sphere and whatever it was they were claiming, because it's gotten everybody to.
Absolutely, yeah, the entire world. So.
It got everybody at once, like the signal, right? Like it went around the world in one afternoon. Like, boom! Everybody proceed to their domicile.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's like it's just super huge in the news right now, like UFOs and everything. Like, I don't know. Why is that getting pushed so hard right now?
Well, do you believe in the aliens? Like, what's your take on the aliens, dude?
I mean, if it's coming from outer space, I don't know. That stuff's all sketchy too. Just space, if that's like
well, that's the thing is you have to believe space exists.
Yeah, and then like Jeff Bezos going up and like after you like watching that footage going up and then coming down like. Trippy, like
all the footage, all the space stuff is super hoopty. So you're not buying into the aliens and how they say it's going to be with the little flying discs.
Not really.
No, you're not.
I don't know. Anything's possible. Like
because I used to be way into the whole alien things. Stephen Greer and the Wilcock and all those dudes, and Communion with Whitley Strieber and all that stuff, and like I think that's it's as dumb as it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it all started like back in the 60s? Is that when the UFO stuff started really coming out?
Well, that one was the
sci-fi.
Well, Roswell was pretty big, wasn't that? That was before then, but. Yeah, I mean, but that's where, where they get the weird hook is they refer to all that stuff in like the old scriptures and stuff like the Vimanas and, there's weird stuff they mention in the Bible. Like I buy into the Nephilims.
Yeah. Is that the giants?
The giants seem, that's what I mean is there's so many like, it's almost like interlinked in their, like it's the like partial truths the whole time. Like seems to be the big.
Isn't that in the Book of Enoch? I've never read that. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read the Book of Enoch. But the Book of Enoch's all about the archons, which is basically that's what the archons are. But you could argue that they're the David Icke. How are you check out like David Icke and all that stuff? See, I like David Icke. Like I think he's more on it than not.
I do too. Like, the moon stuff and the reptilian like ship stuff. I mean, he's got the worst rap of it all. But
I don't really get why, because if you listen to him, like the thing that he gets off, like where people uses the lizard thing, but that's like this much of what he talks about. Like, and that dude can lay it down. Yeah. Like,
and he was talking too about the COOF starting out, and he pretty much just said that it's like not real from the start. I mean, that's what he was talking about, because then they can't control it. But
thank you.
Just in case you like.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
But it's that whole. Thank you, honey. It's that whole thing of snacks, see, craft services.
Absolutely,
we got craft services. It's that thing, right? Is he did call it all out, but my weird thing, and we can get to that, is I think one of the things they've done to hijack the thing is the real, not real, right? Like if you even talk about it, you're like a denier, and I'm like, I don't need to deny it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's portrayed properly. How about portrayed properly, right?
Sure, yeah. I think that's the case too.
Like.
Well, like one of the things I said on Howie's podcast too, I don't know if it's going to be interpreted, like, I don't know if I got my point across really, but like when it whole started, like all those videos from China, they have like a time lapse of them building hospitals and everything, and all the people are passing out in intersections and puking up blood. Like, remember, like when it first started?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's what scared the world in the lockdowns. Like, what was that? That's not happening here.
Well, it's again is I think, remember the footage of the of them spraying the stuff from the back of the trucks in the deserted streets? Like, from what I could tell, that I think how they're getting away with it is the poor quality of the production. Right? If they made it look like you can go to anything that's going on and it's pretty like clear footage, like anything that's really going on, like, I don't know, the cops doing what they do to some person, or it's the riots, or like we had a summer of burning cities, like all framed, all crisp,
4K,
all like super boom, like even like your average bear with like unicorn riots rolling with these cameras. Everyone's got technology, and then anything that seems to be super relevant and important to them seems to be really poor quality, like Elon Musk and the Chinese space thing and the coup overseas. Like you kind of go, and that's almost what makes it somewhat like believable to the dumb population, right? Because it's like, if it's too crisp, it's like a production, but if it's sort of hinky and hoopty, it's like, it must be like real, dude, because like it's like real. And I'm just like, no. I mean, they could have orchestrated that whole thing over there in China, no problem. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Like,
who knows? Like, have you ever heard of a city called Ufa?
No. Where's that? Is that real?
Dude, it's in the middle of Russia, dude. You want to see Ufa, dude?
Yeah.
All right, dude. This will trip you out. Because, again, this is how talk about veils and weird stuff, man. UFA, yep. Ufa, Russia. I stumbled onto this last night, dude. And boom, look at this bitchin' little city, dude. Look at this, just like super clean, ideal little, like, look at this. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
That's Ufa, dude. Look at this, look at that trippy mosque, dude, right? Yeah. But look, if you go, I can't do it on here because my phone's turned off. But if you go Google, all right, there's downtown Ufa. Look at how rad that is, dude. That's out in the middle of Russia.
Just like right.
No, but look at how clean and modern. Like, there's no trash. That's just a picture, a random picture. Look at all the people just going about their business, dude, in some city that you've never heard of, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Look at, so Ufa, where's Ufa is?
It's right there.
It's, so there's the Caspian and the Black Sea. It's in there, dude. It's the middle of like Russia.
Yeah.
Ufa, super clean, super modern. Looks like an old school. Like, look at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Look at how like it's a modern, like clean city. It looks like like Portland before they destroyed it.
Yeah.
Look
I was in Portland last week.
Look at that, dude. Look at that. Like, just the architecture, fully modern, with the touch of the old. Right? There's downtown Ufa.
That's sweet. It looks crazy.
Sweet, right?
Yeah.
You never heard of that city till right now, have you?
Mm-mm.
I never heard of it till last night. Ufa, Russia. And you go look at those crazy, have you seen those like modern cities in Turkmenistan and stuff?
No.
Dude, all right. Let's see. It's kind of, I gotta get with the maps. What is it? Uda. I think the city's called Uda. Let's see, Uda. Dagestan. Is that where it is? Where is these cities, dude? So and it's like all these like trippy cities that are like mega modern, like beyond modern, dude. Where is it? Uzbekistan. That's where it is. Uzbekistan. Where is it? I think, is that it? Bukhara? Bukhara, is that the modern, crazy modern one? Is it Bukhara? Dude, I gotta check. So you get to the, so what I'm getting at is this is, I don't know, what were we talking about a second ago? With the
footage. Is that what you're talking about? Or yeah, the footage being.
Yeah. It is the footage, right? So this is this Bukhara? This is just some random city in Turkmenistan. This isn't the one I'm looking for, dude. There's a different one that's like ultra modern. Anyway, I don't have wasn't ready to go into ultra modern cities, dude. So you get to this thing where there's all these cities on the eastern side of the Urals that are super like mega modern, that are fully, they're not like the abandoned hoopty Chinese modern abandoned like unliving cities. They're like people living in there, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know they're there. And if you knew they were there, you would scratch your head and be like, what's going on our planet where there's actually these big cities we've never heard of?
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's.
I mean, all that stuff. I mean, it looks like Dubai, kind of. Like,
yeah, and you realize that. I guess the point I'm trying to make is there's these cities we've never heard of that are modern. I just showed you pictures of them, fully modern, like nice looking, super clean city. Yeah. You've never met anyone from Ufa. I've never met anyone from Ufa. Never heard of Ufa till yesterday at 6 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, how'd you hear about it?
I happened to stumble upon a YouTube video that was talking about Russia's the 24 autonomous regions of Russia. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know there was 24 autonomous regions in Russia. You go into this thing and it wasn't talking about that. I was just catching the peripheral vibe. And I'm like, they were like, the capital of this republic is called Ufa. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, let me dig into the city a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I want to move there. It looks super nice and clean, and like the people are all stoked when you like look at like. So I dropped the pin in Google Earth, and I went roaming around Ufa, and I was like, dude, if you drop the pin in Venice, California, dude, there's trash and people sleeping in the streets and madness and graffiti, and dude, you drop pins all over Ufa, dude. It's all tidy and clean. It looks like some Canadian city used to, one of those like real clean, cold zones where you're like, okay. And the point I'm getting is like, there's a city I've never heard of until last night. So how easy would it be for them to fabricate all that bullshit in a closed information country and broadcast it out and be like, there's dudes fishing out on the street, and like we're time lapsing like them building hospitals and like,
yeah,
like the whole thing, like, because the problem I think we have in the West is there's so much access to information. So many people running around with cell phones and like all these good cameras, and they're standing. Remember when those dudes were standing in front of like the hospitals in New York when the news would be like, we're in front of like whatever hospital. And then they're like, you would see some like, YouTuber would go down there and like, be like, there's nothing going on here.
Empty. Yeah,
it's empty, dude.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's so much information validating the scam that it seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. It's like overkill. It's like people can't even process it, but you go with the scam that started this whole thing, which was one sort of node coming out of this weird city you've never heard of. Who had heard of Wuhan up until
For sure. Yeah.
You know, till February, a year and a half ago, right? Like, what's this place? And then it was all right at Chinese New Year. And then you dig in this thing where like, oh, there happens to be some US funded lab, which I'm calling as a full false flag too.
Why is that?
Because if you get into the debate, whether it started the lab, no lab theory, you're validating it's real.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? You can no longer roll it back and go, this whole thing is a fictitious fabrication of the PCR test manipulation.
Yeah.
It's now, it started in the lab. It didn't start in the lab. Oh, they were lying to you back then, right? Like, so it rolls the clock back to April, right? It gets you into the late end of April, like around in April, people start being like, what's going on and this and that. And it gets you into April when we really need to go back to November of 19, when nothing's going on, right? When it's supposedly like beginning.
Yeah.
But they've got us now debating the reality of April. When it's like, no, we need to take the clock back another 6 months to when nothing was going on, when the initial flu season began, right?
Yeah.
Like when we had the thing, we got super sick here. Like when we moved in November, my wife got laid out for like 10 days. All the same stuff, dude.
Yeah, my friend Kyle watching. Shout out Kyle. He was he got sick super like around the same time, like November.
So then I got super sick New Year's, and then Owl got super sick.
Was it like the no taste, no smells?
But what I'm getting at is, Joe, thank you, Marie, thank you. It's there wasn't anything except it was the flu. It was just like the brutal flu. Like there was no paranoia about it. There was no like, oh my God, and like, and then it was like, yeah, you're sick. Like, let me get you some like water and like soup, and do you do the things where you're sick? Like,
I didn't know that.
There was no like, oh my God, we're all gonna die thing, dude. It was just like, I was brutal. Like I got a staph infection. Like my immune system got so lowered. I got like a staph infection, like in my fingers, and I got like strep throat in the top of it, and like it was the whole like raft for like a month. But I just didn't take him to school.
Yeah, you didn't think he was going on his deathbed.
No, I didn't. And even when it started, when all the stuff was going on and overseas and I saw it coming in, I wasn't like, there was a part of me that was like, all right, here we go, dude. Like, dude, we're going to fish. The people are going to fish out. I wasn't worried about me. My whole thing was like, this is going to trigger the whole martial law thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about getting sick ever. I've never been. I'm still not. I don't like you're supposed to get sick. Like, part of life.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of like this zero thing's insanity.
I mean, I was telling you too, like I think I got it like a little while ago. And it was like nothing. Yeah. Lost the smell. Was roaming around just like, it was like fine. Like I'm kind of tired for 2 days.
But let me ask you this. If you had gotten that 2 years ago, who says we always haven't lost our taste and smell when we were sick back in the day? Like, you wouldn't have even thought about it. You couldn't ask me if like, well, when you got the flu a couple years ago, did you lose your sense of taste? I would have been like, I don't know. Never even thought about it as like an issue. Like, that's what I mean. I think they took some threads on some, like, if they're psychological warfare masters, they were like, let's do some stuff that's always been going on, but never, ever anyone cared about.
And just present that as like this new thing.
Yeah. Like, oh, dude, you're going to lose but you always did. Yeah. Because, right, isn't a lot of that tied into your whole sinuses? And if you can't smell, you can't taste, right? Is that the way it works? Like,
Yeah, I think your taste is like based off
your smell, right?
Yeah.
So if your nose is congested, you can't taste anyhow.
Yeah.
Like I think
think that's right.
I think they just are we wrong about that? I don't know. We could all right. So we got the so where do we go with all this? As two dudes.
I do want to know. Yeah, I think you know more about like the PCR testing.
Well, okay. The PCR, like everyone gets stuck on the thing with the PCR test, is it's all spin cycles. So when you look at the thing is it's not meant for this anyhow. It's not meant for what it's due. But you can with the spin cycles have never been uniformed ever.
Yeah.
So the higher spin cycle, the more material comes to the surface, right? So I think it's supposed to be at 23 or something. Whatever Carrie Mullen's book, like he goes, dude, it's all right. This is another false lead too. The PCR scam, dude. Like, forget about it, dude. By the way, dude, for all the people that are concerned, like, oh, I see the new things coming out. It's like, oh my God, the CDC says they're not gonna use the PCR test at the end of the year anymore. You know why? You want to know why? Why? Is because Gates and who's the
Fauci?
No, who's the hedge funder guy, dude? Mr. Evil.
Jeff Bezos?
No, the other guy who finances everything underneath it all. Dude, who's the dude? The Hungarian guy, dude. Who's the Hungarian guy, dude? You know who I'm talking about. It's the investor guy. No, not Klaus Schwab, dude. The other guy, the guy who came that they're always he worked with the Nazis, and he's from Hungary. Soros.
Oh yeah.
Pay attention to this. Mr. Soros and Mr. Gates have invested and bought a new testing company. That's if you look in the thing, they had the thing as so Soros and Gates have bought the new testing platform.
Oh, for that.
So when you see them discontinuing the PCR test, it's because they have a new money-making venture, which is these guys' thing. And then you can check out like the stocks to watch are the ones that are dealing with heart inflammation medications. Dude.
Okay.
They're rising, dude, because it's all super.
It's all side effects.
But again, I go back to the whole thing of like, those are almost false leads too. Like that whole, like the PCR test is another false lead because it validates it, right? It validates the dance.
So if you're taking the test and it's positive or negative, then that's what like that's based around. Then like the belief system is like just pinpointed that.
Well, it's the weird hustle like why are you going and getting tested?
Yeah.
For what? Just to play in their ballpark? Like I don't care. I'd be like laying on the ground. Like you're not getting me to go in there and swab. Well, you can get into the thing with the DNA, right? That they're actually taking. It's all a scam to get your DNA on the swab.
Yeah.
To use for their own copyright.
Have you got it yet?
Hell no, dude. I'm not going anywhere near the voodoo witch doctors. I wasn't doing that before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't like that guy anyhow, because I'm like I've always seen that they're not who they claim to be. Like you can't so roll the clock back, right?
Yeah.
My thing is high fructose corn syrup. That's the thread you need to pull on.
Yeah.
All day long. If everybody focused their attention on high fructose corn syrup, I think we unravel the whole thing. Because you can't have high fructose corn syrup being legitimized from the same organizations that claim that they're safeguarding your health. And it be like they're mutually exclusive concepts. High fructose corn syrup and health are opposing ideas. So if you're going to talk about health and you're not going to go, we need to eliminate high fructose corn syrup from like the population, like you're not talking about health, because that jumps into all the comorbidities, right?
Yeah.
Diabetes, weight, all these things are related to dietary issues. Like, people aren't dying because they got, by the way, even during the flu season, most people aren't dying from the flu. They're dying because they're not healthy. Like, all of these things are health
oriented.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I kind of lost my track of where were we going?
You got Dunkin' Donuts, giving out their free things to get this job.
Well, it goes back to this thing of like, those are almost like, where is it? Like, where's the thread to pull on, in the sense of like, because I think if you stay in anything related to the coof, you're playing in their arena.
Yeah.
Like it isn't this, that. I think that you're validating their game. Like, even in like I'm not a denier. Like, that's why, like, on the thing I said, like, I'm not a denier. Like, there's nothing to deny. Like, it's this, my thing about, it's like almost like this is like my trip about atheists. Atheists to me are closer to God than agnostics, because you really have to validate the concept of God to truly believe that God doesn't exist. Like,
that means, yeah.
So to sit there and say that, like, I'm a denier of the thing would actually be me, like, I'm playing in the arena. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about their, like, because again, it's all smoke and mirrors to shift us away from the real gig.
Yeah.
Which is what maybe we're here to talk about, because that's the shadow, like, what makes the shadows on the wall, right?
Yeah. No, I like that. I think that makes total sense.
Because I don't care about their tests. I don't care about their sauce. I don't care about their illness. I don't really care about their thing on a weird level.
Where do you think, I was thinking about this last night too, like, if the narrative now is that, the unshotted people are getting the shotted people sick, then why would that make anyone go out to go get it if there's a higher chance of them getting sick from it? Isn't that the narrative?
Well, so this is where people go, you're negative, dude. Like, people hound me on this, right? Go, you're negative. And this is what I think it is they're playing a human psychology game. And most people don't want to admit that they're pawns, right? Everybody wants to truly think they're sovereign. And like, oh no, dude, I can't be influenced. Like, I'm making my own decision. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I think that there's people, they've tricked the people into like going, I'm doing this because I'm making my own decision. And I'm not going to do that because I'm making my own decision. And I'm not, it's this weird thing where, so, okay, like, I guess I got to get into it for a second.
Yeah.
So I watched this thing, like, because I've been talking a lot about the shadows. And I think the real thing that they don't want us to face is our tortured human past. And their game is based upon like hate, anger, violence, death, destruction, the banker's way, right? The banker's way, the interest-bearing currency, the maritime law, all that, straw man, all of that kind of stuff. But that's pretty like terrestrial, right? But underneath that is like reconciliation, like atonement, like making peace with the conflict of yourself, right? So in 2016, I saw it. So as a dude who's a free thinker, right? I voted a certain way just based upon like, I don't comply. right? And so in 2016, I watched the people that claimed that they were for peace, love, communication, and all this kind of like liberal space justify violence. Orange man bad. We get to be violent now. That dude. And I was like, wait a minute, like, what? And then I go, oh yeah, you're all the people that have spent your time pretending that you're not evil, that you don't have evil inside of you. Like, we'll just, we're just going to fix the planet. Like, oh, it's this and that. We're all like peace and love. And secretly, like, inside of all of us, there's this component we don't know about because like we've been shielded from it in the Western world, right? Like, you don't have to go run out and like kill a chicken to feed yourself in modern America. Yeah. You don't have to run out and defend your house from marauding coyotes or wolves or grizzly bears or any of that stuff. You get to live in your home and pretty much, decide whether you're going to get into a bar fight or not. Like, as close as most people get to like violence is domestic violence or alcohol fueled violence. But the general human experience in the Western world is pretty tranquilo, right? So most people have never had to like ask themselves some very deep questions about violence and what is violence? Because is violence killing a chicken to sustain yourself? It's these very plastic things that have taken away the human experience. And I think that's our Achilles heel. I think that's exactly what's going on. Is they're moving the ball to a bunch of people that have never truly asked themselves what you will do when the chips are down. And these people are like, I will take the shot so that I don't have to experience that. I will take the shot to go back to normal. What they talk about, the normal that you want to go back to, is I want to go back to a world where I wouldn't have to like clean up my own chicken and cut my own chicken up and defend the hearth and battle a woolly mammoth or whatever it is. I will do whatever that is, because once that cork becomes unplugged, you don't know now, right? And so last night I stumbled on a bunch of information last night. I dug into the Milai village massacre last night.
Oh yeah, Milai, yeah.
Okay, so you dig into Milai, you can watch that Nightline interview with those dudes who actually participated in killing babies and stuff.
Dude, it was brutal.
But they straight up talk about it, dude. Like the go to Nightline, and it's a 2-part thing. Pull it up and watch it, because the dude's talking about exactly what I'm talking about. He's talking, like, they're talking about being young men, and their average age was 20. They went into this thing, and once it started, the switch got flipped, and it was like everybody's out. He straight up talks about it. They straight up talk about like what happened between the moment they pulled the trigger on the babies, and then they went and just were like, we're doing everybody now.
Yeah.
And you get to this thing, and the one dude is talking, the black dude's talking about it because it's so trippy. He talks about it, and then he comes back to his own life. He's sitting there, and he's got a scrapbook with the whole Milai massacre in it, the whole scrapbook. And they're like, why do you keep that? He goes, it's my life. This is my life. Like, this is what happened in my life. And it's the pictures of the people he killed, because there was camera people assigned to the unit and the whole thing. So he's got the photos of the woman and the child that he shot. He's like, I killed at least 25 people on my own, right?
Yeah. Innocent
people, women and children, right? And he talks about like when the switch was flipped, it was flipped. And then he sits there and he's like talking about like his own kid. So you see there's like a picture next to him of like a little child. And you're like, okay, what's up with did this guy come back and have a child? How do you do all that? You're wondering the whole time. And then he talks about his little child, and he's like, dude, the neighbor's boys came and shot my child in the head, and it died in my arms. And I was like, this is the flip side of the experience. And he was talking, and then he goes into the dude's like, how, the interviewer's like, how do you? And he's like, dude, it's war. It's people don't understand. It's like, once you cross this line, it doesn't matter. And that's what I think's going on, is there's a race to making atonement without destroying the chance to make atonement, right?
Yeah.
So they're moving the whole worldwide population into this thing where it's justified, because they talk about them being justified to do what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, dude, we were totally like under orders, and like, we know now, as we're like years later, like, yeah, it was totally messed up. But the moment we pulled the trigger, we thought we were 100% legit to mow these people down. And you go, whoa, and you see the ball rolling with these people as they're tapping into this boot camp mentality. So the whole thing was to get everyone in the mask into the house to stop us from communicating, so they could insert the new program into the people. And the new program they're inserting into the people is the justification of the split of humanity. Like, one group doesn't get the right to exist, and one group, all the people, like, I'm not an anti, all the people that are standing up against this are actually standing up for the people that have taken the sauce.
For sure, yeah.
But they don't get it. Like, they think that because they view us as the enemy.
Yeah.
And once you get that structure inserted into the human mind, it's not till after the fact that you realize the spell.
For sure.
Because most human beings are untested in violence. Like, most people have never talked to someone who's killed someone. So they don't know what that thing is, and everyone's like, well, that's so negative. I go, no, our whole goal is, like, human beings, is to stop this from a spiritual perspective, to stop the insanity and go, this is all a trick. It was a trick. Those dudes were tricked. They will straight up tell you, because there's one dude in the interview who didn't do it. And he's like, no, dude, I had values. I wasn't going to do this.
Mow down kids.
Yeah, he was like, this dude is like, I don't get why these people cracked, but like, I knew this was wrong, and I wasn't going to do it. And he's like one dude who was like, nope. And that's what I think where we're at right now, is it's super hard to stand up to the tidal wave and be like, okay, I'm not going to crack.
Yeah, I think that's like the scariest thing. Yeah, it's like, Milai massacre. That's what it's.
It's the famous Vietnam. The interesting thing is, the army up at the beginning used to call it the Pink Village, because that's what it was on their military maps.
Oh yeah.
That's a real weird thing.
Yeah.
So you get to these things, right? Like, okay, so we're two dudes standing at the entrance to the cave, right? Like, what's the pressure like out? You're actually in the city, so what's the pressure like?
I mean, I feel like these people are going to start, it's already getting tossed around like blade grass and stuff. I think it's going to get brutal. Or like, I don't know, if you feel like you're going to get shot in the street, just for not being, not taking the sauce. It feels that way. Like, even on forums and stuff, people are calling out for violence. They're super against, I don't know, that's what it seems like.
Okay, so like, I live in a pretty sheltered like zone, so to speak. You're actually like in Hollywood, and the thing, like, what's the street level reality like? Are people like clad in the stuff? Like, are people asking you every 5 minutes? Like,
everyone is super masked up. Like, I thought that was going to go away. Like, I thought people were going to stand up a little bit more to that, because it just came back here. But it's full on again. Like, it doesn't even matter. These people are just masked up. You can't get in. They'll hound you in the stores and everything. But I don't know. Like, people haven't really been asking about the shot yet or anything. But it is like, I think it's gonna be getting close to, like, in the next couple months. It's gonna, like, that tension's gonna keep mounting.
See, there's something weird going on though, where like, I almost think that thing is part of the false flag, right? In that sense, if I'm watching the because people, like, unbeknownst to most Americans, like, there's been like worldwide protests against it.
It's happening right now in Australia. Have you been seeing any of that?
Yeah, well, I keep Australia's the canary in the coal mine, dude, because they've got those people like locked down again.
Yeah,
but all over the world yesterday there was like hundreds of thousands of people in all sorts of places, like not taking it, cops joining the thing, like, so it almost seems to me like they're gonna have to drop that narrative, right? Because I don't think that gets them where they want to go.
I think too, like LA, at least like LA County, it's like such its own bubble. Because I went down to Huntington Beach, it's like it doesn't even exist there.
Oh, dude, well, I'm right on the
You're like right on the border
line. It's like another world, like 2 blocks over that way.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, you're still like in LA County though, right?
Technically, we are in LA County, yes. Well, that's what I mean, is what I get into is like there seems to be this people like it. Like they like this thing. I don't know what I don't relate.
It gives them like meaning or something. Like,
yeah, there's a
purpose,
weird,
like,
it's a weird thing where I don't, and it ties into this whole thing, like to circle back to the city that like we didn't know existed 2 days ago. Ufa, yeah. Right? Like there's a whole world out there. Like you look at like passport levels in the United States of America, like we're the least traveled modern country on the planet. Like people have gone less places in America than any other modern country. So I think that's a debilitating factor of I don't know what's going on, man. Maybe nothing.
Maybe, hopefully not. Yeah.
There's a part of me that's nothing's going on either. Like, all right, let me ask you this. Like, so you've got, is anything going on?
I mean, do you ever like check out Reddit or anything?
I don't touch it, dude.
Yeah. Well, there's like a pro, vax page on there, like called COVID Vaccinated. It's just
the branch COVIDians.
Yeah, it's like it's all pro. You get banned if you're not, like, if you say anything, or if you're subscribed to like a conspiracy subreddit or anything. But that thing is just like a graveyard nightmare of just like side effects. Like everyone's on there just like, hey, not to sound like a anti-vaxxer or conspiracy nut, but it's 6 months and I still have a headache and can't walk. And it's just like post after post after post.
And so it's a pro.
It's a pro one. You get booted immediately if you're.
And so it's a pro vac. Well, that's the interesting thing I've noticed is that like the people that are actually been harmed all like come out and be like, I'm pro, dude.
Yeah, all their posts end with like, I still recommend getting the vaccine even though I'm laid out in bed and lost my job because I can't move. I mean, that's like all of them. So that's
because I see like that. Like there seems to be like a weird. There's so much going on right now, and it's almost like nothing too at the same time, which I find to be very fascinating. Like you look at like the whole, again, it's funny. Like all right, let's go to your thing because I think it ties right into it. We part of where we meet in the road about this is our exploration of what kind of reality we live in, whether it's break down your journey in the whole round earth, flat earth thing and tell what do you think's going on with that?
Dude, I was super nuts into that. Like I did tone it down. Like I'm not hiding. Like I was screaming at rooftops about this stuff, several years ago. But then I was thinking like this all came out in like 2016 really on YouTube. Yeah. Like YouTube is where I saw it. And even so, like even back then when it was happening, I was just like, the first time I heard about that, I was like, what is this? This is stupid. This is completely dumb. And then, I don't know, I just kept watching these videos and it was something that I never even thought about questioning before. Like, I have a bachelor's degree. Like, I'm not like, if I'm saying anything really stupid, you can blame it on the school system, I guess. But like, I'd never lived my life ever think like I never even thought that before, like thought that could be a possibility. And then like all the stuff started coming out. It's just weird. Like I don't know, but then I was thinking, like, why is this happening now? The internet's been around for a long time. Like, why is it making such a jump now?
Well, I think there's an element to that too. Well, yeah, we're talking. Well, all right. So this is the thing people are asking.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking flat Earth, because that, I think, is another misnomer for the exploration of the reality we live in. Like, it's no different than being like, I'm pro or the thing I was talking about with, like, the minute you get boxed into the thing, into like, you're round Earth, you're flat Earth, like you're not exploring the reality we live in anymore, because it could be arguably multidimensional, which I prescribe to is like, none of this stuff is real anyhow, because the electromagnetic spectrum says so anyhow.
Yeah.
Like, it proves that it's irrelevant on a weird level.
I mean, yeah, flat Earth too. If you were to ask me, like, I would not say that I'm a flat earther, but I don't know what this is. Like, I mean, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Hey, bird.
Owl. You gonna say hello?
Hi.
Hey, I got you a present, Owl.
What are you gonna say? Hello? You gonna?
Hi. Oh, actually.
Why don't you introduce yourself and ask Jeremy's name?
Jeremy.
Hey, yeah, I'm Jeremy. Nice to meet you.
What do you say?
Actually, thank you. I actually have a book and it shows this.
Oh, really? Nice.
That thing.
Yeah, there's underwater one.
Whoa.
Let me show you what I built.
All right, cool.
All right.
What is the conversation?
Kid enter.
I have a sea serpent. I don't have it yet. I can go get it.
He's pumped now. So no, okay. So this is why I brought that up, because it's all, to me, seems the same thing, right? Like, you go, like, it did just pop up in the modern collective, but then you go back historically, like that. The round Earth is the relatively new thing, like, in historically speaking, like, which I think is I don't get why people are so polarized and afraid of talking about it. Like, that's what trips me out more than anything.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like what you were talking about, like Owen Benjamin. You know what he said? It's like it's worse to come out as a flat earther than being gay.
Yeah. I think it's probably easier to come out nowadays in modern times and be like, yeah, dude, I swing for the other team, than be like, oh, I'm a flat earther. And again, it's like what we were talking. So, all right, what's your take on it? Like, what's your best assessment of what's going on with the? Because I think the best way is to call it the realm.
Yeah. No, I think that's good to call it. I mean, it goes to like the moon landing stuff too. You have to be totally not on board with that.
Yeah.
To be, I mean, that's like, you have to go through that first to question like the Earth, when it's just like, I mean, it all just, it's super weird. Like, I was looking at like moon videos of people zooming into the moon. That's like 238,000 miles away or something like that. And the Earth's circumference is like 25,000 miles.
Okay.
Something like that. So it's like, you dudes are like zooming into craters like on the moon right there. Like, and we can't even, just like, it just, like, that thing is got to be closer. I don't know.
Well, no, I that's what I think is when you start ask questions. What I didn't like about it was the polarization of it all. Like, I think that asking the questions are this is where I've gone with the thing, and why I think they did it. What you asked, like, why did it pop up in the consciousness via the internet in like 16 and right around then, was to start the science debate. Like, no. If you have any questions about that, you're going against science, right? Like, they were laying their tracks. They're like, no, in order for us to do our next move, we have to get the science validity into the collective consciousness of humanity. So we're going to talk about something that's really you can argue it's provable, unprovable, wherever you stand in the thing. I go observational, right? I don't know. So they get you into this paradigm of like, one science, one you're crazy guy.
Yeah.
You're crazy if you don't believe that. Scientists all say so, right? So making science legit. At that point, you don't have any reason to really tear at the fabric of the scientific community yet, right? It's like, okay, yeah, like, well, we'll try to disprove science by using science. And then you get into all these, like, the debates and the challenges and, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these dudes and it's a battle legitimizing science.
Yeah.
Right? Move the ball forward 5 years later, we can arguably prove that they've proven that they don't really mean science when they talk about science anymore. From Dr. Fauci to the CDC to their arbitrary deciding that one county has masks, one county doesn't. We're doing this, we're running experiments. Like the concept of science has been totally dismembered by the people screaming science in modern times. Like right now, like there's no science behind anything they're doing. It's all conjecture.
For sure. Yeah.
There is zero. Most people still haven't wrapped their head around the fact that that the sauce is an experiment. Yeah. That it's not proven effective yet. That the people that, all right, this is the cool thing that I don't think people realize is those who don't are the control group.
Yeah.
We're the ones that will actually validate that your stuff
science
works.
Yeah.
If you would let us, just leave us alone and like have us like come into the thing, right? Like instead of like being like, oh, I gotta guilt and shame it, like what's weird and this and that. Like they should be like, you guys who don't want to do it, can we actually like collect data from you so that we can prove or disprove that this stuff, because that's how science would work. If we were truly in the science, they would be like, look, all of you who don't want to do it, that's great. Can we just monitor you and have you be the control group to see how effective this stuff is that people do want to take?
Yeah.
Totally. So that the placebo, because they lost the control group like a year ago. So in order to run an experiment under these guidelines to certify this stuff, they have to have a control group that takes a placebo. Right. So you go in and you're like, the control group doesn't know. You sign up for the experiment to see if the stuff works. The people that get the placebo don't know they get the placebo, and the people that do, but the scientists behind the curtain know who's got the placebo, and then they chart them over the course of a decade or something and see how the placebo people did against the people who took the sauce. What they did is they were like, we're going to let the placebo people take the sauce. We're going to tell them they took the placebo so that they can sauce up, dude.
Yeah.
Right? So you look at, again, call me crazy. Go listen to Boris Johnson just the other day going, we're going to allow the people that have the placebo get the all access pass, the passport, right? Well, you go, okay, that seems reasonable. No, the reason they have to do that is because they can't tell the control group they took a placebo, right? If they don't give the passport to the people that took the placebo, they'll know they took a placebo and the experiment will be void.
Yeah.
So you go to this thing. So if you listen to what Boris Johnson is saying, they're about to let people interact with their pass to go about who aren't under the influence of the sauce. They're about to legalize super spreaders in their model, dude.
Weird, yeah.
So again, as I roll back the thing to the polarization of flat earth, round earth, and the realm and the whole thing was to preemptively to squish the ball in the science debate by bringing science to the forefront.
Just giving like two options, pretty much, like kind of.
Yeah, you're either science, pro science. When I go, no, like you're allowed to be fully observational and be like, no, there's some weird stuff going on here, like with eclipses and calendars and like stars and all sorts of questions could be asked by.
I mean, I think, and that's like, it really is just asking questions. Like, I'm not a scientist for sure. I mean, I'm just like
okay, let me add this. Why were you screaming at the rooftops about it, though?
I mean, that was fully influenced by just watching YouTube videos all day.
I got to flip the record here, right? Just a second. Okay, because I'm gonna pull on that thread. That sounds good, dude. All right, boom, boom, boom. Not yet. Plus, boom. All right, we're back in the game.
Nice.
Okay, so you were a once upon a time a screaming flat Earth lunatic.
Yeah.
Who would have told me you're crazy for not? Because you would have been one of the dudes that made me. I don't know if you saw in my videos back around 2016 where I was like, I can't have anything to do with this. You people are crazy.
Yeah, I did see that.
Like, this is insanity, dude. I don't need to get yelled at, and I'm willing to look at it. Like that's what I didn't understand. I go, I'm willing to like look at it, and I was still getting screamed at.
Yeah.
That's what, again, that's what made me investigate the sauce. I'm one of those people, you start screaming at me. I go, why are you screaming at me? So, okay, so you're screaming. How do you become a dude who's screaming about the...
I mean, I blame it on the YouTube algorithm.
So you were influenced. You got sucked into the K-hole of...
I mean, I realized it was bad to be like watching those like all day, every day. But I mean, yeah, I did definitely get sucked in. And, you know, it's just like... whatever that is, like whatever flat Earth is, like I think most of the videos have been getting pulled from YouTube anyway.
Oh yeah,
but it's gone. I don't know. It's either super convincing or just like, I mean, the points like make sense throughout all of it. Like, I mean, it's through most of it and everything. Like,
I'm more curious. Not even this actually is. I'm more curious about the journey of the thing. So one day you're sitting there minding your own business.
Yeah.
A video comes up. You scratch your head.
I'm like, this is totally stupid.
So this is no different than the Q-tards.
No.
Because the Q-tards did the same thing. Like, and my thing is like, I'll get all tarded out on something, but I fully always go, dude, you're tarding, dude. Like not to, I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore, but whatever. We don't care. By the way, this live stream is going to be fully demonetized. So if you appreciate what you're doing, support the channel. And so share this around. We're just having an open conversation. Oh,
I see two of them.
Whoa!
It's a monster truck.
Monster, literally.
Helps me build my other one.
Yeah, because you right? He did. He was trying to build a monster truck earlier in the stream.
Oh, nice, cool, yeah.
And the monster truck shut up. So you're minding your own business. You get hooked. You're like, I'm going in, dude.
Yeah.
And it's just.
It was just like that, and like I said, I backed away totally from that probably like 2 years ago. Like,
but I'm more. Let's stay there for a minute. What is the one thing like what was the watershed moment where you were just a normal dude checking out some videos and you went, that sums up? What was the first crack in your ice wall?
Yeah. I mean, the idea of like gravity was weird too, because like apparently, as far as I know, that's still like
unprovable.
Yeah, can't prove it. And then like, here's like a story, kind of like my second grade teacher was telling us, like, I don't know, I haven't ever looked at it, but she's like, so these scientists found like a tooth or something, and they're like, they thought it was a dinosaur tooth. So they're like, all right, so if the tooth looked like this, then the jaw looked like this. And then if the jaw looked like that and the head looked like this.
Yes.
And then they like created this whole dinosaur and figured out it was like a pig's tooth or something, like later on. But I mean, it seemed like that. It was like every single thing about this model is all based around gravity, which is, you know, as far as I know, it's like not provable. So it's just like, all right, if this is that and this is that, yeah, or buoyancy density, that's flat Earth argument. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson mic drop, that's gravity. That's what he said one time.
Yeah. No. So the gravity thing, whatever, like it's so that's what did it. Is this sort of like that was the thread, and the teacher back in the day about the pig's tooth is a dinosaur bone.
Yeah, that was a big one, and then it's just like, yeah, it's if you were to tell me now, like never known it, and you know, convince everyone that we're spinning at 1 billion miles in every single direction, and don't feel it, and that's like inertia or whatever. Like it's like all this.
Dude, you're in a car drinking a coffee, dude. It's just the same thing, dude. The atmosphere is protecting you from.
They talk about that, on the ball up. Like I don't know, like it really, like I don't know, like I.
Okay, so all right. We're gonna go back on this because I like stuff.
Yeah.
So at some point you were like, everybody needs to know.
Yeah, I was like, I was fighting with people, just like
you need to know.
Yeah.
You don't understand, like we're
pretty much. I mean,
Truman Show.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens to everyone that gets in the flat Earth, but I mean, they just they are screaming it, just like.
I guess I'm curious. Ask yourself why were you? What was your purpose?
I think my main thing was just like, this is the craziest shit ever, like, and no one thinks about it. Like that's what I was like thinking at that time.
Like just open your mind, just to explore the possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like they have all those videos too on YouTube, which again they're videos and everything, but it's like I never heard that before, like the boats going over the edge or whatever. But it's like these people are zooming in like way
the
farther.
P900.
The Nikon.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of that, and I'm just like, all right, why are we seeing that? Like where is this curve?
It's just an optical illusion, dude.
Yeah, it's a mirage.
It's a mirage.
Yeah.
No, okay, so.
Oh, Daddy, look at my monster truck.
Oh, you made it! Look at that.
Yeah, you built that fast.
Oh, he's like,
Yeah.
bro, dude.
You're a pro, Lego.
He's not even messing around, dude. So at a certain point, you're like, at a certain point, what convinces you to stop screaming at people? Like, wake up.
Probably just like took a self look at myself and realized I'm, pissing people off for no reason. Pretty much, like this doesn't matter really.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, because that's what I think is going on the world stage right now with all the coof and the whole thing is you had a moment where you looked yourself in the mirror and was like, what's it about me that needs to scream at you that the earth's flat?
Yeah. Just like there is no reason to like lose friends or just like look like a nut for, I like talking to people that, want to talk about it. Like, I think that's cool just because I'm curious too, like just in the same way of just trying to figure out what this is like.
Yeah, it seems a little like this is what before I even discovered the whole thing. Like I was aware that they used to view the what do they call it? The heliocentric is this model, and then before it used to be the one where everything rotated around the earth, right? And then they're so we all rotate around the sun, right?
Yeah.
So like it isn't like a real out there thing, by the way. They used but those were middle-aged lunatics and the church was controlling. I go, okay. Yeah. Sure. I got you on that. This is what tripped me out, that when it showed up was similar to you, was the dinosaur thing.
Yeah.
So I used to trip back in the day about the fact if you look into the original like dinosaur dudes, right? I think they found like their first bones out in the Gobi Desert, right?
Yeah, like
the
Bone Wars.
Go look at the Gobi Desert, dude, and realize these dudes were doing this in the mid 1800s, right?
Yeah.
So let's get this straight. The concept of digging for fossils using archaeology and all that stuff, like, okay, whatever, dude. You go to the Green River in Utah and find what you want to find because you know the layers and the satellites and the whole thing. These dudes in the 1800s were like, I'm going to go into the middle of China, into a desert in the middle of China. I'm going to do an expedition. It's going to take years. I'm going to load up all this gear and I'm going out into this uncharted desert because I'm going to find dinosaur bones. And what used to trip out on me wasn't about whether the dinosaurs were real or flat earth, round earth, or any of that stuff. I used to trip out on the concept of manifestation. Of like, that is the proof that you can manifest anything you want, because that dude was sitting at the British Museum of Science or whatever those guys used to hang out and being all hoity and like, I postulate that there's like some dinosaur bones out in the middle of the Gobi Desert. We're going to launch an expedition and we're going to sail around the globe and we're going to trek across China and we're going to go out in the Gobi Desert and we're going to find these bones and they're going to be dinosaurs and it's fantastic. And you go, all you've proved to me that you went and manifested some bones out in the middle of the desert. What they are,
whale bones. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they are anymore, because it goes back. If you look at the what's the book, The Alchemist, right?
Yeah,
like the baseline book, The Alchemist, where he goes on a whole life journey to find gold, and he realized it was right where the first body thought about finding gold was it was always sitting under his ass, but he had to go on this life journey to find gold. And it's all about manifesting, but the manifestation is always contained inside of you. So I've always tripped on the dinosaur thing in the sense that it comes from the concept of dudes walking out into the unknown with nothing but like, wow, I think we're going to find this out there thing. Like there was no rhyme or reason why they were like, we're going to go explore around the Gobi Desert. Because you could have gone anywhere to find dinosaur bones, theoretically.
Right where they were standing.
Right where they were standing.
Yeah.
Right. And so like for me, one of the things that's weird is the whole, I'm not so weird about it where I don't let Owl do dinosaurs. I just go, dude, it just doesn't make any sense to me, dude. And what doesn't make sense is not the fact that there was or wasn't. What doesn't make sense to me is if you pull up like a dinosaur bone, they actually have. I get the concept of finding bones in a pile and being like, well, that bone looks like it could go there, and we're going to theoretically, it makes a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we're going to wire it all together.
Yeah.
Where they lose me across the board, where I go BS to all of it, is when they add the skin and the pigments and the colors, and they're like, it was green.
Yeah, how would they? How
would you know it's green? How would you know what color it is?
Yeah.
And how would you know what the skin is and all of these things? Well, they found it's compressed between a fossil thing. So
and what does every animal that exists now, did that just happen after they died out? Like what? Why is like the dinosaurs like what is the story behind that? Like I don't even know.
It's this whole weird thing where again these are valid questions to ask of when you look into the British Academy of Science and who they were. When you dig into like who Darwin was, and you go, the theory of evolution comes from Charles Darwin and who Darwin rolled around with, and you realize those dudes were eugenicists. Oh, wait a minute. The eugenicists, what were the eugenicists all about? And what are we experiencing now is the ultimate play out of the eugenicist model. Hitler was a eugenicist. The eugenicists have been going on for hundreds of years now with their master race theory, dude.
Yeah.
And it's all, they all try to hide it through evolution and measuring craniums and the whole thing. So I think that why we pull these threads is that dinosaurs, flat earth, round earth, the coof, they're all coming from the same place. They're all coming from the pig bone that is science, and they've built a whole world around science.
Yeah. And
science truly, if you understand science, constantly disproves science.
It's like ongoing.
It's an ongoing loop of disproving itself to find the higher level of science.
Yeah. No, definitely. And even with another thing in the flat earth thing is, trying to prove to yourself that it's a ball, pretty much and then you go back and whatever the dude was who put the sticks in the dirt and was measuring the shadows. And it's like, all right, if the shadows are this way, then the sun's 93 million miles away, and then, the people in flat earth that talk about this are like, no, the sun's small and local, the same size as the moon. It's only like 3,000 miles away, whatever like that. It's like the shadows could be based on, just how far, like, where does the 93 million, how are they measuring that and like the stars and stuff? I don't know. It's
well, I trip, and this is where, like, again, where I go, it's a little irrelevant. And I don't mean that like on the level is like when you get into this thing, it breaks free from like what is holding us here. Like not even gravity, like maritime law. Like the whole realm is controlled by this maritime law thing, which is based upon this like law of opposing forces, right? Like everything that's going on right now is tied. Like the reason you can't go to outer space isn't based upon whether it's real or not. It's based upon you're stuck here because of the contract you made in maritime law with the straw man. The fact that they own you and they're not going to give you the technology to do it because they've taken the technology and hid it behind the United States Patent Office.
Yeah.
And the Patent Office is protected by maritime law. And because you acknowledge their lawful control over your reality, you don't have access to this stuff. It seems to me like when you really... All right.
Dude, I love listening to you talk like.
So this is when my mind got blown, dude. Like when I really stumbled onto something.
Yeah.
Was okay. When did your life start?
I don't know.
When?
Yeah. Conception.
Conception, right?
Yeah.
So most people, and it's still like it's so hardwired into us, think that their life began when they were born. When you look into maritime law and birth certificates and the straw man and the corporations and all of this stuff, you realize, whoa.
Oh, those are cool.
Favors.
You realize that it's all based upon you not claiming your in utero life, the first 9 months of your life. Like
I heard you talk about that before.
Like our life starts at the egg and the zygote forms, when the sperm and the egg meet to form the zygote, right? And the spark of life, which is divinity, occurs. Life begins, right? And so you have this thing where like we as human beings can't get access to all the information because we haven't even gotten access to our own life because we've not acknowledged the first 9 months of our existence.
Yeah, you were talking about like birthdays and stuff and how it's right.
Yeah, because we think that our birth began when we came into the thing. That's the Mom's Day. I'm very like about that, but like I play along,
Yeah.
And so it's this thing where like because we don't claim our life from when the sperm meets the egg and the divine spark occurs, they hold ownership of us because they own that by default, like sort of like the vampire, like you not claiming it means they own it just because no one claimed it. Like, like, have you ever done the thing where you find that you have money sitting in like a government account that's unclaimed?
No.
So when I was like 21 or something, someone's like, hey, you should look up the thing and file this paperwork to find unclaimed money. And I found like it was like, $300 was a lot of money at the time, dude. I had like $300 that was sitting in Los Angeles County from something that had occurred and it just was unclaimed. And it goes into like these holding accounts that are sitting there. It's just sitting there. It's just waiting for you to claim it. But that money, because you haven't claimed it, is being used by the bank or the system to collect interest.
Yeah.
But the minute you claim your money back from the system, they can't collect interest on that money the way they were before because like their whole concept is it's just sitting there, but they have to let you know that it's out there. Like they can't be like, there's no money with your name on it. Like they have to go, no, there's money, but we're not going to like tell you about it. We're not sending out notes and being like, hey, by the way, there's, some money sitting down here from this, and that. It's like, no, if you want to like do a search and file the paperwork, like you can have your money, but until you do, we're just going to sit on it and collect interest. And eventually, like if you croak, we get it, dude.
Yeah.
Or it just stays here forever and ever and ever and ever because it doesn't exist anyhow. So I think there's an aspect to that sort of vampiric law where like until you go and claim that first 9 months of your life, you're still living in their metaphysical clock. Right. And so that's where like when you debate like, oh, round earth, flat earth, Kuth, eugenicist, they're like, yeah, you guys debate that, dude. Go right ahead, dude. Just keep talking about your round earth, your flat earth and the thing, because you don't get any of the treasure till you begin to figure out how to claim the original first 9 months of your life, because technically in your own reality, you aren't alive yet. It's no, when you really dig into it, you go, I acknowledge like I was born June 11th, 1969, right? So the astrologers and all the people, if you buy into that stuff will be like, what's your birth sign? Like, oh, you're a Gemini. That only works if I live as a Gemini. Technically, I'm not a Gemini because I was conceived 9 months earlier. So all my moons and birth signs and all that stuff are really much different because like it doesn't matter when I came out, it matters when I was conceived and where the stars were in my conception is when all the stuff. So I don't know when I exist because they don't do any of that. Like I can't go in, I can roughly guesstimate like, okay, if it was June, it must have been what?
9 months,
what? December, November, at the beginning of October sometime, right? Like that's when I would look to see what of 1968, what was going on in 1968. So again, as I take my own personal life, like I'm a product of 1969, dude. The moon landing happens like right around the time I'm born, maybe. Like all of this stuff is moving through time and space, and we're yet to claim like our starting point. Like the Pink Floyd talks about it, dude. What's the Pink Floyd song? They lay it all out, dude. Here, wait, I got it on my playlist, dude. I'll pull it up, dude. I know we're all over the map, dude, but
I'm curious too, like, what kind of music you listen to?
All of it, dude. Like I listen to all of it, dude. Like you want to listen to some In Sync?
Yeah.
Oprah Haza, dude.
You're playing Tool.
I was playing Tool, and it was about to go right into In Sync, dude. All right, where's Pink Floyd, dude? Because this is Pink Floyd, and what's the song I want? It's Time. Okay, so Time, right? With lyrics of Time. Yeah, but. So it's like, again, the clues are all over the place, but we're not looking for the right things because we're not claiming them, right? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Tired and second verse, tired of lying in the sun, staying home to watch the rain. You are young and life is long. There is time to kill today. And then one day you find that 10 years have gotten behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. And you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. It's racing around to come up behind you again. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older and shorter of breath and one day closer to death. It like that lyric's all about because you haven't claimed your original point, the starting gun, you're constantly chasing the sun's chasing you versus you're chasing the thing. That you get into this whole thing about whether it's flat or round or whatever, it doesn't matter because you don't even know when you started. So how do you know what your trajectory really
Where's the box?
Really is?
Daddy.
And that's where I start to like trip out a little bit and be like, when I observe, when you're making observations, right? Like the split experiment, right? Like that once you observe the split gap experiment. Was it the split gap experiment?
Put the two constructions.
Okay. Is when you observe it changes. Like, and so what I'm convinced about, part of us trying to figure out what the realm is the minute we observe it, it's already moving. We're moving through time and space. We're looking at old information. So let's say you're looking at like where the sun is and the moon and all these things, because you're not totally dialed in with your own starting point. It's all warbly. Like you're not getting any true data points. So it doesn't matter if it's flat or round, because you still don't have your like where the conception and the spark occurred, which is infinite, right? So if you get into the thing of like, like there's one who has all power, that one is God, may you find him now, right? And you get into the now and all the Eckhart Tolle and the spiritual stuff, and you get into the now, time is infinite because there is no round flat. It is infinite in all directions of time and space. Like they don't want us to find that there is no round flat. It's infinite. But we can't get there because we're still chasing
far back.
It's chasing us, or we're chasing it. I don't know, but because we haven't claimed it, we've never actually been here now. We're really 9 months behind, metaphysically speaking, of our time. Like even when I'm right here, right now, I'm getting closer because I'm truly breaking the spell of that, which is so much hardwiring about like birthdays. And because as long as I acknowledge my birthday, I fall under the maritime law. Whoa, those are cool. You know what I mean? And then once I'm in the maritime law, like why is it called? That's where you get into the Crow 777 stuff about like maybe space is liquid.
Water's above, water's below.
Yeah, you get into the firmament and the whole thing, man. It's trippy like that, dude. So I don't know.
I do like that. I got to think about that.
It's some trippy stuff to think about, because it's all, again, is what is going on right now? Like, what is everybody afraid of? Whoa.
Piranha.
Oh, that glows in the dark too.
It's like, what is everybody afraid of?
Yeah. Are they sick or? I
mean, what is everybody afraid of? Like, because like that's the thing is if you're afraid of the end, are you afraid of the end because you never found the beginning?
Figured out the beginning.
Yeah. It's that thing is it's these people that seem to be totally fixated on not figuring out where they exist in their own personal realm, right? Like, I don't know where I'm going with it, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to think about that. I mean, it definitely is. It's just like, 9 months. Like that's where it's starting. I like that Pink Floyd line too.
Yeah. Well, how about the thing of, have you seen the whole thing with the dude with the moon and the crater thing?
What is that?
I've lost track of his channel, dude. Maybe someone could send it to me, dude. But there's this dude, and his thing. All right. His thing is that when we're looking at the moon.
Oh, like the crater's on the front. So like how that.
No. He's like, we're looking at our own reflection, and that we're in that our realm, that our flat earth is in a crater on the moon. Yeah. And that the moon is the infinite, the ice wall and the whole thing that's the edge of the crater and the moon. And he goes into this thing where he breaks down, he uses this dual sun modeling on the flat earth, from being the flat earth is in the crater of a globe that is the moon that we're looking at. And he does this thing where he triangulates or does his math. It's all he does it with all science and math and stuff.
Yeah.
For you science weirdos. and he goes boom, 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 and he figures out where it is, and then he finds the crater on the moon that matches all this stuff, and then he goes into the crater, and the topography of the crater matches the continental land masses of the Earth if the water is filled up to a certain point in the crater. And it's just this thing where you're like, it's super like glitchy because you're like, it does too much. Yeah. And it's basically the thing is when we're looking at the moon, how is the deal? We're looking at the reflection of the firmament, reflecting the whole thing.
Yeah. That's
the trip, is when we're looking at the moon, it's a reflection on the firmament of the whole realm. But because of our perspective, we think we're looking at the teeny moon. No, we're looking at a giant thing where we're in like a little crater on it, dude. It's super gnarly, dude, because you're like, whoa, but it's where he finds the crater on the surface of the moon.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense because he finds it by triangulating this dual sun system based upon that being, it's crazy, dude.
That is nuts. I'm gonna write that down.
I don't know what he's called, dude. So it's these things where you look at the thing where, and his whole thing is it's flat Earth, round Earth. The flat Earth is us in the crater on a globe, right?
Yeah.
Which is the suns. That's how he's doing it. He's like, no, there's like these two celestial bodies. We're in the crater on the moon. On this
broke out of construction.
Okay, we'll fix it up. And we're observing reflections back upon the firmament, the dome, dude, if you will. Like there's all sorts of like, it's so like mind bending. You're like, I don't know. And then you get, how about you and the reset civilization stuff?
What do you mean?
You check out like all the reset stuff with the old buildings around the planet?
No.
Dude, you haven't gone down that bunny hole, dude? All right, dude. Wait a minute, dude. You haven't? All right, dude. You go to John Levy's channel, dude, and that's a good starting point. Max Egan does a really good one too, but I think it's all been deleted because he's been deleted off of YouTube. But so it's the reset, and it's basically that I gotta almost pull Greco. All right. All right, you know how people trip on like the pyramids around the planet?
Yeah.
Right? And there's pyramids all over the planet.
Yeah.
Greco. Oh, I gotta get it right. So, and we trip on that, right? What are all the stones? Greco, Roman. Wait, I just gotta pull this up, people. All right, so they got us all like focused on like pyramids and all that stuff, dude. Oh wait, where is it? There it is. Let's see if it'll come up. All right, that's not what I'm looking like. I wait just a second. Capitol buildings. Maybe it's Capitol buildings. Okay, so it's basically that all around the planet, are buildings that are like this, that are these Capitol buildings, dude. They're in small cities. They're in Argentina. They're in Shanghai. They're all over the planet. These Greco-Roman buildings, dude.
Yeah.
These giant, huge buildings and they all have the same architecture all over the planet. So the basic theory was that there was a previous civilization here roughly 200 years ago that built all that was a worldwide civilization. It was a free energy civilization. And that
200 years ago?
Yeah, roughly, dude. It all gets into the timeline's been manipulated. Okay. Dude, there's this Russian dude who takes all the historical events in the timeline and it's like, dude, there's like a missing 1,000 years. You get into this thing, it's like there's now people really like working on this stuff. Like it's called the Great Reset. Where I don't get into it is the mud flood. So let's see.
Yeah, I was looking at mud flood stuff.
Okay, so it's piggybacks right at the Great Reset mud flood. Look at all right. Dude, John Levy does it way better. So you can go back and the Sanford.
What is that? Does that tie into like Mandela stuff?
No, it's got nothing to do with Mandela effect. I think is a full like Q-tard thing, dude, just to get people arguing about something that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You can go back and you can find these old buildings all over the planet, and then you tie into there used to be all these old World's Fairs at the end of the 1800s, beginning of the 1900s, and all these things were torn down, and all these cities have had great fires that have burned all of them down. And basically there was like a pre-civilization here, and that something happened, humanity was wiped out, and then they go and repopulate the planet. There's pictures of like St. Petersburg with like deserted streets, and San Francisco with like deserted streets back in the day, dude. Like, and you get into this thing called the foundlings, and that how
Daddy, this thing I built, now I connect it to this.
Uh-huh. Whoa.
And look at it.
Whoa. Scary fish comes out of the cave, dude. That's amazing.
That's cool.
So you get into this thing where there's this thing called the foundlings. So back in the 1800s, early, like there was orphans everywhere. Like they were dropping off orphans. There was these orphan trains going out west and dropping off orphans all over the planet, dude. They're called foundlings. Do you type in foundlings, dude?
Right,
you start. Yeah. It's so basically the whole thing was that part of the thing was all those old churches aren't churches. They were all like harmonic healing centers, dude. And they were never meant as and they're all the ornateness on it ties into like Tesla tech. And it's all about the metal on the roofs. And you can go look at all these. You just go down to the John Levy bunny hole. And you go down and you realize that like there's this commonality all around the planet with these buildings and these old things. And you go, dude, we build garbage now, dude. Like, where did all these buildings come from? We can't build them now. And so what John Levy does is he gets into like census data with these giant buildings all over Canada and stuff. And he's like, dude, there weren't enough people to build all this stuff, like to quarry all these materials. It just doesn't make any sense. And then he digs into the historical stories behind all these buildings, and there's nothing there, dude. It's all just
yeah.
And all right, here, look at this, dude. These are all over the planet. Maybe I can go star forts, dude. Have you looked into the star forts thing? Oh, dude, the star forts and the whole thing is star forts. So these things are all over the planet, dude. These star forts.
I've never even seen that.
No, you haven't dug into the star forts thing? These are all over the planet. The star fort. Statue of Liberty is built upon one, dude. Dude, look at this. All right, let's see if I can find it. All right, on the furthest most thing of the Key West, Florida, out in the middle of nowhere, is this star fort out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. All right, where's the Keys? Where is it? Hold on, people. I got to find the star fort out here. You're going to see it and you'll be like, nah, dude, no way. Nah, it shouldn't be out there. Where is it? It's out in the middle of nowhere, dude. Where is it? There's Key West. Okay, it's the furthest island off of Key West. Whoa. Where is it? Is it over here? There it is. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, look at that thing. Look, it's the Dry Tortuga National Park. There's a star fort, right? They built this thing in the 1800s out in the middle of, like, what do they build it on? Look at where it is, dude. These are all over the planet, dude. It's out in the middle of freaking, look at that.
Yeah.
Nowhere, dude. So these dudes go into the, they start digging into like Portland cement and all the cement and go, dude, the formulas with the cement are all off basis. And like these dudes are digging into the stuff, dude. It's like the Erie Canal. Like when you look into the logistics of the Erie Canal, it was already here. There's no way they did that back in the day with a bunch of dudes with carts and like pickaxes and stuff.
I mean, that is nuts though.
No, this is, dude, look at that thing right out there. This is, for those of you watching, go to the Great Tortuga National Park on Key West and go all the way as far to the end of Key West as you can. And there's a giant star fort out in the middle of the ocean.
Wait, okay, so what does that mean then? Like someone built that?
They're all over the planet.
But no one knows who.
No, they're fully like blown off, dude. Like they're military forts. They're just military. Look at these things, dude. All over the planet, dude. They are all over the planet, dude. Look at that thing. No, they're everywhere, dude.
Yeah, I've never even seen that.
Oh, dude, when you start tripping on the fact that the star forts are all over the planet, dude. So look, here's the Statue of Liberty's built upon one, dude. They never talk about. They talk about the base. They don't.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Was here. So, dude. So they get into. Look at this thing out in the middle of just an old, out in the middle of nowhere, dude. All worn down, dude. They're all over the planet, dude. You get into like the things with Angkor Wat and all these things, and you realize like, and the water thing, like, you know, they did that satellite thing where they can go through the jungle, and there's like underneath the Yucatan Peninsula, there's an entire like city built underneath the the jungle there, dude. That's just like so big and beyond. All right, here,
what
here's the map of star forts around the planet, dude. They're all over the planet, dude.
Yeah. I mean, so like, what are they? Like,
dude, no one knows, dude, because in order to know what they are, you have to take this leap into like, there was some, dude, look, so there's the map. They are everywhere over the planet. They're out in the middle of the Pacific. They're over there in Japan. They're all over Europe, North America, South America, Africa, all over the planet. Right. So it gets to this thing where like something was organizing these things around the planet.
Yeah.
And there's these Capitol buildings all over the planet. There's pyramids all over the planet. And then you get into the energy lines and where all the churches, the healing centers are built, dude. And they all have water under them. And the ley lines and the whole thing is like, that's why they want us debating round earth, flat earth, because round earth, flat earth does not mean anything, dude. Because what you want to be debating is who was here before us and is the timeline correct? So if you look in your own life, right? You look in your own life and realize in your own personal life, you know nothing. All this out here, you is all conjecture. The thing that you know least about is yourself, right? And the one thing that you know least about is when you start. Right? You don't know when you start. You don't know when your conception occurred. You're like, I was born on this date and I don't know really what this and this is about me. I haven't really looked into myself and this whole spiritual journey. What is God and what is this and where do I live and all this stuff? These are all internal questions you exploring self, right?
Yeah.
Most people have no idea who they are. And then you get into this thing, I'm going to debate like round earth, flat earth. I'm not going to question the timeline when my own human, personal, experiential timeline, I don't understand.
Totally, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna go, yeah, the clock started when Jesus was resurrected or crucified, and BC, AC, and now we're going to change that now because and then you look at, we live on a planet with how many different like years. You got the Jewish calendar, it's like 57 something. The Chinese calendar, it's a different year, dude. Their New Year's on a different date. And then you live in our calendar. We're like, well, the whole Western world, we're based upon this clock setting. And you go, we're not asking the real questions of like, what is all this stuff all over the planet from? It's all over the planet.
Yeah.
And nobody's asking any questions about it because we're screaming at each other about like stuff that is irrelevant.
Yeah.
And that's why they're frying us with the sauce and the coof and the thing is like, no. People are starting to figure out, like, ask questions because they can look up here and go like, what are these people talking about? Start ask you, go look for yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, look up Star.
Just go look up star forts and just the map of where they are on the planet, and then go, oh, look up here. Most people don't know that the largest pyramid, where's the largest pyramid on the planet?
Is it China?
In China, dude. There's pyramids all over the planet. And then you get into this weird thing with Antarctica. No, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So what does the coof do? What does the coof do? It takes us from figuring out these bigger realm issues of what the realm is, and it just shrinks us right back into here. It's like, no. Ah! And now we're debating PCR tests. Yeah. Now we're debating whether it started and one didn't. Who cares, dude? We want to know why there's star forts all over the planet and who was here before us, and is the timeline correct? Because there's real questions to be asked about the timeline, dude. And you can just look in your own life and be like, yeah, okay. You look at the programming we're all trying to break free from with our education system of like, it's like the attack of civil rights and Martin Luther King and George Washington and all these things. It's like, yeah, like because we don't want to not be all right. So like, why is our whole country up for grabs right now?
It's broken.
Well, not that, because people don't want to acknowledge the truth of the founding fathers because they want to be in a polarity about it. Like, no, dude, they can't be part of the Enlightenment because they own slaves. Okay, let's take the lens back to that space and go, wait a minute, these dudes were actually writing stuff to free us because they knew where all this stuff came from. The dudes who were sitting here as the founding fathers were looking at those buildings in Washington and all over the planet going, we didn't build any of that stuff. Have you looked at the layout of Washington, D.C. and its ley lines all over the planet and stuff?
I mean, like just like a satellite view of it, or
no, dude. There's like a whole thing where they break down like, all right. Have you seen like the pentagrams and stuff built like designed into Washington?
Yeah.
And the whole like the fact that if you follow like one of those lines off the pentagram, it goes over to like hit this church in England perfectly and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm doing number 3 and like it's like usual like snow like frosty.
All right, we got to switch sides a little bit here because we got to get power. So no, what I'm getting at is those dudes who wrote all that, like, yeah, how do we totally scramble that? Like, no, they're discredited. They're discredited because they were idiots. You're gonna look back at us and people and be like, we can't take any of you guys seriously because you used high fructose corn syrup. Like, what if 200 years from now, like the greatest thinkers of our time who did the greatest work, they go, you guys are invalid because you had high fructose corn syrup. You were drinking a Coca-Cola. So whatever you were thinking about like doesn't count because you had Coca-Cola, which is like a lethal substance to humanity. Right? Oh, we can't use any of your technology because you guys were using glyphosate. It's the same thing. It's like, yeah, you're stuck in the deal. We're trying to break free. And those dudes, that's why they wrote their thing was to go, dude, we're going to write it when you people take the ball and run with it and free everybody up here.
Yeah.
And now we're collapsing back because freedom's lethal to these people. Because freedom means we get to explore the star forts and we get to ask these questions about what's the realm we live in and all of these things. And so, but we're sitting here debating like PCR tests.
Yeah.
Like, did it start? Like, what are they doing? And so they've got the worldwide movement like demanding to be let out of their house. We don't want a passport. You don't have, just go claim the original 9 months of your life. Yeah. That's the key to freeing yourself, you know?
Yeah. That all makes sense. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think that's totally what, you know, it's just keep the distraction, and I don't know. I mean, that's wild. I gotta think.
Well, okay, so like when all this like the reset stuff was coming to the forefront was right around like 19, like it was getting a big, like it was coming in pretty hot with the buildings and the whole thing. There's a lot of people talking about, because it's not really like censorable. You know what I mean? Because it's not, it's pulling from their own Wikipedia posts and reading their own Wikipedia posts and being like, do you see the holes? Yeah. Like there's holes all over this stuff, and not making it about that, just asking questions, right? So this was all getting real traction in mid 2019. And it's, why is it the Great Reset? The Great Reset.
And the dumbest number actually not going to use number 4.
Okay. Right on, Thought. So again, it's this weird thing where like they've collapsed the conversation
to the tiniest amount of.
Well, now because we had a worldwide thing going on for a minute, like the world was, would argue, and it probably is happening, is closer to being unified than it ever has. Like the fact that there was worldwide protest yesterday for freedom around the planet reeks of something bigger is going on here. That again is we're just sitting in the crater looking at the reflection going, I don't know, because we're in America, right? Yeah. Like I was listening to these dudes were like the No Agenda guys were talking about it. They're like, and they were like, well, look, you know, we're pretty like thing, and the one dude was like, no, dude, how about like the reason we're not in the streets marching is because most of us just aren't even acknowledging it. Like it's hard because we live in LA. Yeah. Like I don't think that if you go that far that way, people are like, oh, like, yeah, dude, like
let's go march. And yeah.
No, but they're just busy, like they don't understand, because like it's not even in their mind. Like, what do you mean, dude? Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, LA is just like its own bubble.
The West Coast is freaked, and the East Coast is freaked. But I think in these general lands, everyone's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like,
I like that too. Yeah.
And they're not even looking for it, because like if you watch Australia, you got to be like, holy shit.
Everything is.
It's bad down there, man.
I mean, so do you think that's coming here? Like, I mean, Canada's nuts too. Like,
it's that weird thing. I get to the point where, like, to me, it's all a mind trap, or like a spiritual. Does it matter? Like, once you're free, does it matter? Yeah, you're gonna have to be the one dude standing in the middle of the village going, I'm not participating. I can't stop it, but I'm not. I'm going to be the dude who interviewed. Yeah. I'm going to be the dude who's interviewed after the thing, being like, I didn't pull a trigger, dude. I said no. Like, I couldn't stop it, but like, I don't have to carry it. It was horrible. I experienced it, but it's not on my watch. Like, it's not my story.
Yeah.
And I think all these people are going to wake up and be like, oh my. Well, it's that thing that I get into is like where people don't, like, one of the real juxtapositions you can do is go look at like a cafe in Germany in like a major street in Berlin in like 1938, right? All the women in their flowered skirts and hats and the whole thing. And then go look at those same women in 1945 with the lines of bricks after they've been abused, and the whole thing is like, yeah, all of those people at that point would go back to the person who was sitting in the cafe in 1936 and be like, don't do this. right? But they had to learn their lesson. Like they had to learn their spiritual cosmic lesson. And I think it's hard for people like us because we see it plain as day, like, because we've explored these alternative ideas, right? Like you've been exploring, like that's why I wanted to ask you about the flat earth. When you looked yourself in the mirror and been like, who am I screaming at?
For sure. Like
you set yourself free in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not screaming at anyone anymore because you're like, who am I screaming at? And
yeah, really, it's a stupid thing, and that's like, yeah, even with all those videos on YouTube coming out, it's like, why is this happening now? You know, it seems like another distraction or just like a tiny thing to.
Well, what if they preemptively launched it into the thing to like get it smashed behind the wall? Like my big thing with the Orange Man is that's all that was to take all of that energy and just dash it and be like, yeah, okay, now move on.
Yeah.
You know, like you had a bunch of people really exploring flat earth and round earth, and like they just couldn't. There was so many. Again, it's weird. Like, have you studied Jim Morrison concert techniques? Right, when they would do the concert, then he would have his plants in the concert to cause like the things to happen, like
like dance or like
to get the crowd all riled up and like in the thing, right? Like he was like the kind of the way you look at Morrison was connected to the whole MK Ultra and the whole thing, right? But when you realize that these dudes have perfected the concept of putting 3 or 4 people in a concert of 10,000 people, let's say, and getting the concert to move in a certain direction with the music, and then you go, okay, like let's say that people are really exploring it. Let's just stick a couple freaks in the middle of like the flat earth thing to really just like and I see it on the same thing with this whole thing with the coof and the whole deal is like, no, let's like everybody's like wants to, like Fauci seems to be like, you follow that dude's thread back to AZT and the whole thing, and like,
is that like with all the patents back in like 2002?
No, you know, he's the AIDS guy.
Yeah.
Like you get into Fauci's whole story, like that dude like allegedly has hurt a lot of people through time, right? And so what better of a person to have sitting at the helm of it, because now you have people protecting things. It's like the dude from Minnesota that everybody painted on the wall, right?
Yeah.
You take someone who is exactly the opposite of what would be the person you would elevate up and have them be the thing, so that energetically speaking, it breaks apart. Like there is a real need for a civil rights movement in this country. Like there's a real problem with the police in this country. There's a real problem with inequities in this country. There's a real problem with food distribution and all these things. So how do you destroy that? You put the focal person and put statues and murals all around the country of a provably horrible human being. And you go, well, yeah, of course, on like a cosmic level, that should never happen to anyone. But that dude's not, he wasn't the valedictorian that like they didn't raise that kid up in Colorado. Remember the band kid that the cops just straight up took out, who was like, leave me alone, and who had like the
disability.
He didn't have disability. He was just a shut-in dude. It was like, no, just leave me alone. And they went and killed him on the street. And they forced the drugs into him and he died and the whole weird thing. Like that dude should have been the rally point because he was a good dude. So what better way to energetically destroy a legitimate movement than make the focal point a really like kind of bad dude and be like, no, we got to defend him because that shouldn't happen to him. Yeah. What happened to him was totally screwed. What? It's in there. Or maybe on the floor or something. So it's that same thing with, I see what's going on with the coof too. Is like, no, you put this dude up in there and you have all these people defend him. and they got to defend them all the way because they're defending an obviously horrible human being. Right? All the jabbers and the people, they're like, they rolled with this dude. That's your hero. You made songs about him. Like dig into that dude for 5 seconds and you'll find an evil person, dude. And that's who you chose to be your leader. Okay, you guys you're screwed, and they will defend him to the end because that's what people do. Like, again, back to Milai, like they defended them, they'll defend, like a lot of those dudes are like, nope. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. I'll come and help you.
You like aqua donkeys?
Tell us about aqua donkeys, Bert.
No.
Okay, you don't want it. We're hyping aqua donkeys. They're the best. So if you guys really want to just for some like totally fun, positive, mindless, good, laughing entertainment, go to MP Cunningham's YouTube channel. Like, go to subscribe to him and get yourself some aqua donkeys, and all his other stuff's rad too. And then if you go to Roku, they're free on Roku. You can see all 10 parts of the series. Go aqua donkeys all the way, dude. We're getting behind aqua donkeys to the finish line, dude.
You should be on the second season.
What's that?
You should be on the second season. Would you do that if they asked you?
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude. We even talked about that. We'll see. We'll see where these things go. But you got to get aqua donkeys at the forefront of the consciousness, dude, because those dudes are rad because it's totally like harmless entertainment. Totally harmless, dude. No negative. It's fun. Oh, there you go. Top Feed Coco has put the MP Cunningham's link right there, dude. Spam that, dude. Island Ryland, spam MP Cunningham's channel. Everyone subscribe on the way out the door. So, Jeremy, thank you for coming over and having a conversation.
I watch all your streams all the time, too. So, I mean, it's definitely cool.
Well, let's do that. Go do some. Let's send me some trippy stuff, and then we'll have another one of these where we talk Star Forts.
Yeah,
it's Star Forts, The Great Reset on John Levy's channel, and with the
family. I found it. It's literally in the pile.
All right.
Dope, dude,
and thanks for bringing Al some Lego, dude. That was huge, dude. That was
awesome.
super huge. All right, so with that said, we're cutting out, you guys, and that's just us two dudes hanging out, talking.
I think we do that, figuring stuff out.
Yeah, trying to figure out what the shadows on the cave wall are all about, dude. Yeah. So share it around, support the channel if you want. Links down below. Buy some t-shirts, some art, and aqua donkey it up, dude. Anything?
You're 6?
Al, what you got anything to say on the way out the door? What? Wait, what was that? You gotta say it louder.
Bye, watch some aqua donkeys.
Okay. What's your favorite part in aqua donkeys?
Buddies don't bust buddies' butts.
Buddies don't.